Greetings, humans. You have entered the Command Zone, your destination for all aspects of Elder Dragon Highlander. Enjoy your stay.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Command Zone podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Weeks.
I'm Jimmy Wong.
Wong.
In space.
We're doing this whole episode like that.
Wait, I'm floating. Okay. The most powerful commanders in Edge of Eternities. Exciting. The set looks busted. Some really crazy... Rachel, no, come back! Let's get right into it. With a face commander from one of the new precons. It is... not one of the face commanders, the back
This
of
is
commander.
the back of commander,
One
yeah.
of the precons. It's Kilo Apogee Mind. It's Jeskai for blue, red, white for a 3/3. Legendary artifact creature, robot artificer with haste. And whenever Kilo becomes tapped, proliferate! In case you don't know what that means, choose any number of permanents and or players. They then give each another counter of each kind that is already there.
Classic Jeskai Dirtlefest.
Dirtlefest, yeah. So we're talking any kind of counters, +1/+1 counters, lifelink flying counters, poison counters, -1/-1 counters, charge counters.
There's a ton of different ways that you can build this commander, but a lot of the things you're building around are ways to tap and untap your commander. But let's talk about the different ways you can build it, starting with the different counters there are. Because that is the big thing is like, okay, we're proliferating.
In space.
But what are we proliferating?
Yeah, charge counters is, I think, the most easy to build around and will be a natural part of any Kilo deck. So this is what I would do. I almost built this deck for game nights. I did not. Everflowing Chalice is a 0-mana artifact with multi-kicker for 2, so you can play it for 2 to get 1 charge counter on it for each time it was kicked. Pay it for 4, you get 2 charge counters, and you tap to just add a colorless mana. However, you pay for 2, and then you tap Kilo by either attacking or tapping it some other ways. You get 2 charge counters, and now this becomes a Soul Ring level card, and then you can just keep proliferating this up and up and up and up. And eventually, I've seen Chalices tap for like 6 in games where proliferate is a big thing. That's going to be a tough one.
You played a proliferate deck on All Will Be One.
I did, yeah. And you're doing it for this dream,
right?
Literally. Or Astral Cornucopia, which is XXX, entering with X charge counter. So you pay 3 mana for 1, but then it says choose a color, add 1 mana for that color for each charge counter on Astral Cornucopia.
So when you proliferate, you get more and more. Yeah. And so this is colored mana, which is a big deal.
Big deal, yeah.
Okay, so those are the two sort of classic. There's a couple more that I wanted to mention. I really like a component pouch in decks that can manipulate counters.
I did not see this one. This is sweet.
This is a 3-mana artifact, so you can tap it to remove a component counter from the pouch, and you add 2 mana of different colors. So it's a 3-mana rock that can tap for 2 as long as it has a component counter to remove. It also has a second ability, tap, roll a d20, 1 through 9, put 1 component counter on it, 10 through 20, you put 2 on it. So the first time you tap it, you put a counter on it, and then you can proliferate, and you have all the component counters you really need
for the rest of the game.
For the rest of the game. Now you've got a rock that always taps for 2, and you can split colors, which is really nice.
Yeah, normally this card is pretty unplayable because you play it, then you have to roll a d20. You kind of hope you hit the higher ones so you get 2 counters on it. Yeah. Otherwise, you just use it, and then you have to roll another d20. But this deck 100% has ways to untap artifacts. So there's going to be a way for you to play this and use it the same turn, maybe proliferate that same turn as well. Yeah. Pentad Prism is another great one. This has Sunburst, so it enters with a charge counter for each color of mana spent to cast it, so it's a 2-mana card, so you have 2 charge counters on it. And you don't even need to tap it, you just remove a charge counter on it to add 1 mana of any color. So you can, again, just go whoop to the skies with this.
Underplayed in Commander, I think, Pentad Prism.
Yeah, I think a lot of people look at rocks like this and go, well, it's going to be gone at a certain point, but maybe you're okay with it because you can play 2 mana to get 2 mana back on this. Immediately. So.
Absolutely. You can play your 5-mana commander on turn 3.
Yeah.
Another one I wanted to mention was Tablet of Completion. Again, I think this is often pretty unplayable if you don't have counter manipulation. This is a 2-mana artifact that taps to put an oil counter on it, but then it also taps to add colorless, activate only if it has 2 or more oil counters on it. And then it says 1 tap, draw a card, activate only if Tablet of Completion has 5 or more oil counters on it. So this is a 2-mana rock that turns into a draw engine fairly quickly. Like you play this on turn 2, you tap it, you put an oil counter on it, you attack with your commander on turn 3. Now you're immediately at 2. It's just a 2-mana colorless rock.
Yep.
And as the game goes on, it turns into a draw engine.
Yeah. As long as you can consistently do that, and this deck definitely can, then these cards all work and they do a lot of good stuff. Yeah, there's other things you can do with counters. Dragon Spark Reactor we have on here. This gets counters every time an artifact or it enters the battlefield, and then you can pay 4 to sack it to deal damage equal to the charge counters to a player and a creature. So pretty solid removal piece there.
It's a removal piece. It's also, if you start doing the combo lines with Kilo, you can proliferate a lot in this deck. You can take a player out of nowhere with the reactor.
Yeah.
Urbresk's Forge is a fun one to proliferate. You put an oil counter on it, and then you make an X1 Phyrexian Horror creature token with trample and haste, where X is the number of oil counters on it. So it comes down with 1. Next turn it gets 2. Next turn it gets 3. But if you're proliferating, you're making something bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
And it just becomes a must-remove threat.
With their trample and haste.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of like that Lightning Rager card
It
or
is.
whatever, right? Like it just like at first you're like, okay, it's fine. It's a 1/1. But in this deck, it can very quickly become a 5/1 and that much damage that is very difficult to block.
Yeah,
Gets
it's
really
a very annoying card that you can't really prioritize removing, but it is going to do a lot of damage.
Yeah. And then you have cards like Felidar Retreat, which has a landfall ability to put 1/1 counters on each creature you control, and they gain vigilance, which is really good in this deck because now you can attack with Kilo and then tap it with other means if you weren't trying to. Because, a lot of times I think Kilo will become not able to attack very quickly in games. So this deck is about tapping it.
Other things you can proliferate is poison counters.
Yeah, we have a new Jeskai Poison Commander.
Absolutely. Prologue to Phyresis is a tidy little card, 1 and a blue. Each opponent gets a poison counter, draw a card.
Yep.
Now you get the game going, you start a clock on your opponents, and you really have a payoff for that proliferate engine.
Yeah, cards that give everyone a poison counter, there's a few of these out there are really powerful. Otherwise, you just have like your Blighted Agent, which is the blue, unblockable, it has Infect. Right?
Yeah. Get counters on the Blighted Agent, and that's going to be a real problem. But once the counters are on, you can proliferate those Infect counters or poison counters as well.
All right, now let's talk about how this deck will most likely function, which is you're just going to be doing, you're not going to see it in the audio version because you can't see audio. You're going to tap and untap a lot. You're going to do the hand wave because you're going to want to tap your commander to proliferate and then untap it and then tap it again and then do it over and over again. So cards like Clock of Omens.
Busted.
That's probably one of the best cards in the deck. That and Unwinding Clock. Clock of Omens, tap 2 untapped artifacts you control, untap target artifact. Yep. So if you have equipment out, if you have your Pentad Prism, right, you can just tap that and then boom, you untap your commander, tap it again, tap that to untap other stuff. You can quickly see how this gets very crazy, very fast.
Yeah, you basically tap and untap your commander for every artifact you control.
Yeah.
So Clock of Omens goes nuts. Unwinding Clock, great. Manifold Key and the likes of that, those are just artifacts that you can untap. Other artifacts are going to be good. They'll untap your rocks that tap for a ton of mana.
Yeah.
They'll untap your commander so you can proliferate even more. And they can make something unblockable even with this Manifold Key if you get the if you get the proliferate going.
Yeah, if you're playing equipment in this deck, Sting the Glinting Dagger untaps your commander every single turn once it's equipped, as well as is an equipment that can tap itself, right? Equipment don't care if they're tapped. If you really want to take 40-minute turns, Jeskai Ascendancy will untap every creature you control for any time you cast a non-creature.
Yeah, and you draw and discard, and they get +1/+1, not counters, +1/+1.
+1/+1.
It's a nightmare, but it's very good.
Yeah.
So those are great ways to untap your commander. There's also, I think it's worth having plenty of ways to tap them that doesn't involve attacking. It's just a 3/3. It's on the ground. So having other vehicles, having other spacecrafts, ways to tap Kilo without putting it in combat, I do think is necessary.
Yeah.
So I was looking at vehicles that have counters on them, like Reckoner Bankbuster or even like
counters.
Clown Car. Comes in, makes a ton of clown robots.
And they're all artifacts too.
And they're all artifacts,
Yeah.
so it ups your artifact count. And then it also enters with some amount of counters on Clown Car itself.
Oh, nice.
So-
and then the crew cost means you can just tap your commander to crew it.
Yep.
Infinite times, by the way. Once the car or vehicle is crewed, you can recrew it over
Exactly.
and over again. Yeah.
Just like a Clown Car.
Imposter Mech seems really good because it is a vehicle artifact as well, and it's a copy of a creature that your opponent controls, so you get something sick out of that.
This deck can also just go bananas. Go infinite bananas. In fact, Paradise Mantle or Relic of Legends allow you to tap your commander to make a single mana of any color. So you can use that combined with auras like Pemin's Aura or Free from the Real, which have a single blue to untap the enchanted creature. So you can tap it with a Paradise Mantle or a Relic of Legends to make a blue, pay a blue to untap it, and now you have infinite proliferates.
Hooray!
It's very good with any number of payoffs. If you go infinite with something, it's probably good.
Yeah, if you can make infinite mana, Walking Ballista would just kill everyone. Magistrate Scepter is a way to take infinite turns as well. Yeah, so there's just a lot of crazy things you can do in this deck.
I mean, Walking Ballista, you don't even need infinite mana. You have infinite proliferates.
Oh, that's right. You just proliferate infinite times. That's right. Good point.
Yeah. So
I can play this game.
Those are absolutely the infinite payoffs. You can definitely go wild with Kilo, but you can also just go kind of a lot. So it's up to you how you want to build this one.
I think if you build this deck, though, get ready for... I will assume that you will have a way to kill me instantly in this deck.
Sure.
And I will try to remove Kilo at every instant because I don't want to wait 20 minutes before my turn.
Yep.
And then when it's my turn, I wait another 20 minutes because you have unwinding clock.
I have a Jeskai tap on tap deck. I've got Rem Corollas and Saint Traft, and I'm taking it apart because it takes such crazy turns. And I do think that this has a very similar energy and can go even more over the top. It's going to be very powerful. I think it'll be popular. Kilo is wild.
Yeah. And then you can always play all the proliferate cards in this deck too, like Experimental Augury, Contentious Plan. There's just so much value generation in this deck.
Absolutely. If you want to pick this card up, you can do so while you're supporting the show. We've got a lot of more commanders that we're going to talk about in this episode, but if you're enjoying the episode, you can go to cardkingdom.com/command, and that lets them know we sent you.
Yeah.
Card Kingdom has a huge selection of singles, sealed product if you want to buy the Kilo Precon, if you want to buy the World Shaper Precon, that's the Jund Bugs Land one.
That's exciting.
Card Kingdom has a huge selection of cards, so if you want a specific printing, if you want a specific foiling, condition, you can get it all in one place, and you know when they ship it to you, they're going to ship it to you safely. That's the big thing with me is it is always frustrating when your cardboard arrives in the mail and it is bent or it has not been taken care of.
Or
when
wet.
they mail it. Or wet. But no, it's always safe when it comes from Card Kingdom, and you can support the show while you're shopping if you go to cardkingdom.com/command.
And then, of course, head on over to ultrapro.com/command to keep your collection nice and protected. UltraPro is the game accessories brand that we trust our own collections here at the office, too. They make our amazing play mats. They have deck boxes, sleeves, dice, you name it. Any accessory that goes on a table of Magic the Gathering, or really any board game, ultrapro.com/command has a little bit of everything for everyone. Every single set comes out with new Apex sleeves as well, and they're just, this is the best sleeve they've ever made. They've found a way to put art on the back that looks really great and maintains that quality of that shuffle feel. And of course, at every convention, we love signing the Mana 8 product as well. There's just so much to choose from. I guarantee you, if you go to ultrapro.com/command, there will be something there, maybe even at an incredible good sale or price that makes you go, hey, you know what? That is exactly actually what I was looking for in my collection. Like, for instance, dice with big numbers on them.
Nice.
Really nice dice. Nice dice. Dice for you. Nice for me. Nice for you. ultrapro.com/command. Support us there.
The final way to support us is directly at patreon.com/commandzone. If you want to join our community, you want to chat in our Discord, you want to talk about the precons or Edge of Eternities as these cards come out, you can join our Discord by becoming a patron. Plus, you get access to game nights and extra turns a day early without ads. Pretty sweet. And you support the show and this content and all the content that we make here at the office. Plus, we shout out one lucky patron every single podcast episode, and this one is dedicated to Clem Healy. Clem? You rock.
You rock.
All right, back to it. More cards to talk about.
All right, this one looks funny.
It does look funny. I like this card. It's Dyadrine? Dyadrine? Amalgam. I don't know. You get to Dyadrine. For X, a green, a white, you get a legendary artifact creature construct for a 0/1 with trample. Dyadrine enters with a number of +1/+1 counters on it equal to the amount of mana spent to cast it.
Ooh.
So 2 mana, you get a 2/3, 3 mana, you get a 3/4, etc.
Okay.
Whenever you attack, you may remove a +1/+1 counter from each of 2 creatures you control. If you do, draw a card and create a 2/2 colorless robot artifact creature token.
This is another commander I considered building for game nights. It looks
this is
pretty
very
sweet.
Cool.
Yeah.
So whenever you attack, you can remove a counter from each of 2 creatures. So that means that by the time you're attacking, you want to make sure you have 2 creatures in play that have +1 counters that you can remove.
Yeah. Dyadrine, of course, being one of them. Also, like Adeline, this means that you don't have to attack with your commander, which is really important.
Yeah, I really think this is interesting. It's a green-white +1/+1 counter deck, which aren't usually the most interesting, if I'll be honest. You only get to do this once per turn, but you do have a great source of repeatable card draw as long as you have repeatable counters.
And you get more creatures, which is important too. So they serve as blockers or other creatures to put 1/1 counters on. So I think it's actually pretty sweet. I really like Stone Coil Serpent in this deck because you also want creatures that sometimes just won't be blocked.
Yeah.
So Stone Coil Serpent is just X for a 0/0, enters with an X 1/1 counters on it, and then it has reach, trample, and protection from multicolored.
Yeah, this card is sneaky great. I also like these kinds of cards that just have a really good rate for counters, right? So it's 3 mana, 3 counters. That means it represents at least, 2 card draws with Dyadrine. So I would cast like Stone Coil Serpent maybe on turn 3 once you have 4 mana, and then you've got 4 mana Stone Coil Serpent. You can follow up with Dyadrine, and you can attack with the Stone Coil Serpent. Draw a card right away. Stone Coil Serpent, an endless one. Just having a efficient way to make counters in the early game so you're drawing cards as soon as possible means that I would run like a couple of these X cost creatures that come in with counters.
Clown Car has once again made an appearance in the chat. It's back.
This isn't the last time it will be back in this episode either.
It makes sense too. It's infinity.
Cannot be stopped.
So it's already in space,
Yeah.
We got bugs in space. Why not clowns?
Why not clowns? This is also just a great rate for counters. If you cast it for 3 or 4, you get some amount of clown robots. So if you have robot synergy, great.
Great. Or artifact synergy, great.
And then you get some amount of counters that you can remove for cards later.
Yeah. And then Endless One is another Eldrazi. By the way, there are Eldrazi in this set, so this is very thematic. It's just an X creature that enters with X/1/1 counters on it. So really good rate. You get a bunch of counters on it. Because I think in this deck, you'll find that if you don't have ways to create a lot of counters or replenish them, you will run out fast. Because removing 2 is actually a decent amount. So there are, of course, ways in the deck that you should probably add to replenish the counters.
Yeah. So there's a lot of these in green: Ornery, Tumblewag, Luminarch, Aspirant. These are just examples of cards that make 1/1 counter a turn.
Yeah.
And you can put them on any creature that you'd like, probably the one that's attacking, but it's up to you. The Tumblewag even doubles the amount of counters that you control if you are running low.
If you manage to saddle it up, and swing. Gala Greeters will naturally just create counters as well as occasionally make you treasures and gain a bunch of life. Really good with the commander because you're having a creature enter the battlefield with that ability too.
I like Gala Greeters a lot in this deck. Anytime that you can make that robot token, you immediately replace the +1/+1
Yeah,
counter.
I love this card. It always is. You just look at it and you're like, is it good? I think it's actually good.
I think it's actually great.
Yeah.
Botanical Brawler is also a great source of +1/+1 counters in this deck. It's green and white for an elemental warrior. It's a 0/0 with trample, but it enters, of course, with 2 +1 counters on it. And whenever 1 or more +1 counters are put on another permanent you control, if it's the first time +1 counters have been put on that permanent this turn, put a +1 counter on Botanical Brawler.
Oh, okay.
So if you put a +1 counter on another permanent, you immediately get one on Botanical Brawler.
Yeah.
And if you put a +1 counter on a different one, then you get another counter on Botanical Brawler. So it's just a great generating source of +1 counters early in the game.
Yeah, it's like the Hardened Scales effect, but it's just on itself. And so if you are putting a lot of counters on things, then Hardened Scales and those types of effects obviously will go very well in this deck as well.
Yeah.
How about the Doctor Who creature? That's an alien insect scout. It's perfect.
Yeah.
It's almost like they're meant to be in this deck. Because there's insects in Edge of Eternities. Okay, it's X green white for a 0/0, enters with X/1/1 counters on it. When it enters the battlefield, you create X/1/1 green and white alien insect creature tokens with flying. And whenever you attack with 1 or more insects, put a 1/1 counter on each of them.
Yeah, I think this card's wild.
That's wild because you're going to be attacking. They're flying, so they're hard to block. And then it doesn't matter how many you attack with. If you attack with 1, you get a 1/1 counter on. If you attack with all of them, they all get 1/1 counters.
Yeah.
And you can stack it, I believe, in a way that you can attack, have that counter put on first, and then remove the counters with your commander, I believe.
It's, yes. They're both attack
They're
triggers.
both whenever you attack trigger.
It's only, so if you attack with just 1 insect, you get the 1 layer of counters.
Yeah.
And then if you attack with 2, it doesn't really change anything. It's just the 1.
But it's on each of them, right?
On each of your insects, yeah. So this card's really great. It comes in with counters. It makes bugs that immediately put counters on themselves. And it has the insect thing going on if you want to stay thematic in Edge of Eternities.
Yeah, very cool.
Really cool. Felidar Retreat is back.
It's back.
If you want to put +1 counters on a lot of stuff, Felidar Retreat is really good at it.
Yep. That's it.
That's it. There's you got to mention it. Steel Overseer is cool.
Oh, yeah.
Not a lot of the cards in the deck are artifacts, but all the robots you will be making from your commander are. So I could see Steel Overseer being a great continual engine for +1 counters.
Yep. Metallic Mimic, when it enters, you choose a creature type, and then each other creature of that creature type enters with an additional 1/1 counter on it. So again, you're just choosing the creatures that your commander makes.
Yeah, robots.
Pretty good.
Another one that's cool that I haven't really seen in play yet, but I've heard good things about is Phineas Ace Archer.
Oh, yeah.
It's green-white for a rabbit archer. It's a 2/2 with vigilance and reach. And whenever Phineas attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on each other creature you control that's a token, or a rabbit, but more likely a token. Then if creatures you control have a total power of 10 or greater, draw a card. So the robots are getting bigger, you're drawing more cards, you're going wider, you've got a big rabbit. It's feels good.
Yeah, this is in the versions of the deck that really like the part where you're making tokens with your commander, right? You can kind of go one, right? I feel like if you're making this deck, you're going to edge one direction or the other, which is like, I care about the tokens a lot, or I just want to put 1/1 counters on stuff.
Yeah. Proliferate is going to be good here as well, because once you have some amount of counters, more counters better.
Yeah.
Evolution Sage, classic. Whenever a land enters, you get to proliferate.
Canker Bloom, keep on that Phyrexian theme. You can sack to destroy things or proliferate, so it's just a very good card. Similarly, Thirsting Roots, you can either proliferate or just get a land in your hand.
Yeah, I would consider Thirsting Roots like a tapped land in your deck that you can either use to proliferate or search a library for a land and play.
Yeah. Very cool.
Finally, this is a very cool deck for Norn's Choirmaster, and I haven't really found a good one. So it's 3 white for a 5/4 Phyrexian Angel. It's flying first strike. Whenever a commander you control enters the battlefield or attacks, proliferate.
Hey,
that seems good. You want to attack, you want to make counters.
I'm all about it.
It's a nasty thing to put counters on.
Yeah, no kidding. Ordeal of Nylea is fun in this deck because you don't necessarily have to put it on the creature that has no counters on it. You could just put it on a creature that has a bunch of counters on it, and then it instantly gets to sacrifice when it attacks to find a bunch of lands.
Yeah, it's just 2 mana for 2 lands onto the battlefield.
Yeah, pretty sweet.
In what your deck already wants to do.
Okay, another fun enhancer card here is Enduril Narsil Reforged. This equipment is sick.
This card's really good.
Yeah, 2 mana. It's got Ascend, and its equip cost is 3. So whenever equipped creature attacks, you put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. Just great by itself there. And then if you do have the Sage's Blessing, which you probably will because you're making a bunch of tokens, you put 2 1/1 counters on each creature you control instead. So,
equip cost 3, so a little bit high, but you can see the value there for sure, especially in the late game.
Yeah. I mean, you play this in equip at the same turn you swing, and then your whole board gets +2/+2. Like, that's really hard to beat.
Yeah. And again, it's an attack trigger, so you can stack it so you get the counters first, then you can draw a card with your commander.
And this card is definitely a Rachel card here.
I like this one.
Sovereign Ahau. I've seen you play this a couple of times.
I have. It's 2 white for a 3/4 Cat Noble with Ward 2. Whenever he specifically attacks, for each creature you control with power greater than that creature's base power, put a number of +1 counters on that creature equal to the difference. So if you've got 2 +1 counters on it, it's 2 bigger than its base power. You get another 2.
Yeah.
It's basically a sort of like delayed counter doubler.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. I think it's really good. It's also in... has ward, so it protects itself.
All right, and then play all of the Heart and Scales effects in this deck
to
your liking, of course. Yeah, that you can just go. There's a deep list of +1/+1 counter synergies you can find in EDH and all that stuff.
Yeah, make some robots, draw some cards.
Make some robots. Okay, let's talk about our first card with Warp on it, a brand new mechanic from Edge of Eternities. It's Haliya, Guided by Light. So this is 2 white for a 3/3 human soldier. That's a legendary creature. Whenever Haliya or another creature or artifact you control enters, you gain 1 life.
Oof.
So that's a lot of life gain in this deck. And then at the beginning of your end step, draw a card if you've gained 3 or more life this turn. So Haliya herself will get you 1 life, but you're looking to play a bunch of cards that make artifacts or artifacts that enter the battlefield, and you gain a bunch of life. And then Warp for 1 white mana. So you may cast this card from your hand. So unfortunately, it doesn't work from the command zone. For its warp cost, and then you exile the creature at the beginning of the next end step, then you may cast it from exile on a later turn. So it doesn't really apply here unless you have a way to get it into your hand. But this is just the first instance of the keyword, so keep it in mind. We may talk about a couple more cards that have that ability.
Yeah. Especially in the 99 episode. Not as many legends have warp on it that we're talking about today. But Haliya's cool. This is a mono white life gain deck. Obviously, you're trying to go wide with tokens and artifacts and make sure that you're always hitting that minimum threshold to draw a card on your end step. So I wanted to look at a couple of cards that just trigger that draw immediately, all by themselves. And one of the coolest ones, I think, is Cat Collector.
Yeah, this card was so good in Foundation.
It's so good here, too. It's 2 white for a human citizen. It's a 3/2. When it enters, make a food token. So you gain a life from the cat, you gain a life from the food. And then, whenever you gain life for the first time during each of your turns, create a 1/1 white cat creature token. Oh, you gained a life. Woo. So you make a cat. And
3 mana for 3 permanents, and you trigger your commander.
Yeah.
Sick.
Seems really sweet. And it's a life gain deck, so you will be making more cats later.
Yep. And then Bill, the pony. 3 in the white for a 1/4. When you enter is you create 2 food tokens. So boom, that's 3 life right there. And then you sack a food, you can make a creature you control do the door end thing.
Yeah.
Where it assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power. You probably don't do that.
Yeah.
But
food
build-
tokens are particularly good in this one because you're trying to
gain
hit
3
gain
life.
3 life. So you
yeah.
can crack a food to both gain 3 life and draw a card. More like a
Nice.
clue.
Field-tested frying pan, because there's a lot of life gain synergy in Hobbiton. 2 in the white for an equip 2 equipment. When it enters the battlefield, you create a food token, then create a 1/1 white halfling creature token and attach the frying pan to it. So that's 3 right there.
Yep.
And then the equipped creature has, whenever you gain life, this creature gets +X until end of turn, where X is the amount of life you gained.
It's
Nice.
a threat. It's immediately draws you a new card and gives you a little creature there. Anytime I can play the frying pan, we're getting it in a deck.
Yeah, super sick. Super love that.
More iconically, if you're just trying to make 3 tokens, Elspeth's Son's Champion will get it done. Tick Up makes 3 white soldier tokens, or of course wipes the board and destroys all the big stuff running around. So
Your commander slides under that too, which is
it
nice.
does.
Yeah.
So Elspeth's Son's Champion seems like a great board wipe for this deck.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about some ways to make food tokens, because this obviously, I think if you make this a food token deck, it's going to be super sick.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's not a ton of food support in white. You're in mono white, and a lot of the food support went to green and black.
Yeah.
But there are some really good mono white cards that you can play. Astrid Peth says whenever you sacrifice a clue or a food, she explores.
Oh.
And whenever she enters or attacks, you make another food. So she's a good food generator and gets really big and gives you a little bit of card selection as well.
Yep. And then Apothecary White, which kind of looks like Astrid Peth, just in another universe.
I know. They feel like inverse outfits.
Yeah, right. Yeah. This is from the Clue universe, not the Doctor Who universe. Dr. Clue. 3 in the white for a 3/4 with vigilance. Whenever you attack, you create a food token for each player being attacked. So boom,
Nice.
attack 3 players, make 3 food, gain 3 life. And then pay a white tap, and then tap X untapped foods you control, create X 1/1 white human creature tokens. So you probably
good.
wouldn't use that as much, but that's just another way to sneakily gain a bunch of life.
Yeah. Tap 3 foods, make 3 humans, gain 3
Yeah.
life, draw a card.
And then, of course, the ladies are just all out.
I know.
And coming out
It's
from all the universes.
beyond. Like, who knew all the mono white food cards were just from women cooking? Thank you.
Yeah, it happened. But thematically, they all do powerful things, so it's still cool.
Rosie Cotton is here. She is 2 in a white for a halfling peasant. When she enters, make a food. And whenever you create a token, put a +1 counter on target creature you control other than Rosie. Can't buff Rosie. Rosie's just a 1/1.
Rosie's just the 1/1, yeah. That's so funny. And then, but Bill over there is like, hey, I make food too.
I also
I'm a
make
dude.
Food. I also make food. So this way it helps you buff up your cards, but also gives you a food token, and you gain 2 life from their ETB.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, I'm now just thinking like, man, Haliya Guided by Light is super sick in my Samwise Gamgee deck.
Yes.
Another dude that makes food, okay? There's dudes out there that
Dudes
cook.
make food.
I had a cooking show for 10 years, all right?
There are dudes who cook.
I wrote a cookbook.
Universes
Straight up.
Beyond Jimmy Wong.
Jimmy Wong.
Your mono white food commander. Who knew?
We decided to reward Jimmy Wong's lifelong dedication to magic by giving him a Universes Beyond based on his cooking show that not very many people know about. But it had more subscribers than Prof's YouTube channel, just saying. Okay, let's talk about some life gain payoffs and not about me.
It's a mono white life gain deck. So there's a great suite of life gain payoffs that will help you close out the game once your life total is nice and high.
Yeah.
Archangel of Thune is a classic. 3 white for an angel with flying and lifelink. Whenever you gain life, put a +1 counter on each creature
you control.
Really good.
Yeah. Exemplar of Light, whenever you gain life, put a 1/1 counter on this creature. And then, more importantly, whenever you put 1/1 counters on this creature, you draw a card. Just great.
Yeah.
Just, you got to get mono white, sweet life gain payoffs.
Yeah, you're drawing cards,
Oh my
you're getting
goodness.
counters. These are all angels that fly. Nykthos Paragon goes bananas. Whenever you gain life, you may put that many +1 counters on each creature you control. Do this once each turn.
Yeah, so you want to, if you play this, you want to make sure that the first thing you do is like crack a food, not play a 1/1, because then you only get 1 counter on each creature.
Yes.
Elendis Hierophant, whenever you gain life, put a 1/1 counter on it, and then when it dies, you create X 1/1 white vampire creature tokens with lifelink, where X is its power.
Gain a bunch of life when she dies. This deck is really good at doing a lot of instance of life gain. So it's really good with
little bits.
life gain triggers.
Yeah.
You got to have a really big Elenda's Hierophant. She also has flying, even though she looks like just a lady.
It's a vampire. It's one of the flyy vampires.
Yeah, of course.
Sometimes they're on the ground pirate vampires.
Yeah, if you're a walking vampire and you see a flying vampire, you're like, why didn't I get the flying
Why didn't I
ability?
get flying?
Finally, a spot to put Kala, a Johnny's pride mate.
Yeah, you haven't heard about this card because it's a jump starter.
It's a jumpstart card. It's 3 white for a legendary cat warrior. When Kala attacks, Other attacking creatures you control get +X+0 until end of turn, where X is the number of counters on Kala. And whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on Kala, and with an activated ability that you probably won't pay for.
3 in the white to gain 1 life, yeah.
Not great.
Yeah, just play a creature.
So you just load up the counters on Kala, you attack, it buffs everything, all of your tokens that we've been talking about. You can really go wide and punch hard.
Yeah, this is the kind of deck that plays Gallopy Horses in the Sky.
Crested Sunmare.
Not Crested Sunmare. Well, that's also really good in this deck.
Yeah, Gallopy Horses in the Sky. You're talking about the one that cares about enchantments?
5 white. The one that ends the game. It gives our creatures
Oh, that's a cat.
Flying. Yeah, that's a cat?
The one that ends the game when your life total is higher than a certain amount?
No.
Felidar Guardian.
That's Felidar Guardian.
Nope, Felidar Sovereign.
Yeah,
God
that one's great too.
Bless.
No, it's...
You're talking about Gallopy Horses.
No, it's the critter hoof in white.
Oh, the one, the knight. Yeah.
They're horses in the sky. Right?
Yeah, sure.
Why don't I know the name of this? Edders.
I was like, Storm Herd, I guess?
No, Gallopy Horses in the Sky.
Moonshaker Cavalry.
Moonshaker Cavalry. Thank you. That is the card you play in this deck to win the game, because a lot of times just being on the ground won't be enough. You can't really give Trample in white.
And also Storm Herd.
Yeah, Stormbird too. It's funny, we just came up with new cards to put in here in the meantime.
It's totally fun.
I love that. All right. Okay, more.
We need to take a break, clearly.
Yeah, we definitely need to take a break. I need a reset. I need a cold shower or something. Oh my gosh.
We've got a lot of more commanders that we're going to talk about today. But first, we got to hear a few words from our sponsors.
You know what's great about Ristic Study?
I think so.
All the quick and easy payments.
Exactly. Wait, what?
Do you pay the one? Yes. Simple.
Uh-huh.
The only way to make payments quicker and easier would be with our sponsor, Square.
Ah, now I get it.
Square is the business tool that simplifies your day-to-day with sleek point-of-sale hardware and helpful behind-the-scenes tools. So customers can check out faster than you can say, do you pay the $1.99? A bunch of our favorite nearby restaurants use Square, and I always appreciate how it keeps the lunch rush moving. And it's designed for businesses at every stage of growth, whether you're just getting started with a small booth at a farmer's market or looking to expand your successful coffee shop into a second or third location. Plus, Square has a ton of online tools to help business owners track sales, manage inventory, and better understand their customers.
Wow, sounds like Square might just be a game changer.
Puns! Square keeps up so you don't have to slow down. Get everything you need to run and grow your business without any long-term commitments.
And why wait? Right now, you can get up to $200 off Square hardware at square.com/go/command. That's SQUARE.com/GO/command.
Run your business smarter with Square. Get started today.
Hark! You face me, Brawlin, Sky Shark Rider! When I enter battle, I'm proud to partner with the Sharp-Toothed Shabraz. But when I was starting my own business, well, let's just say sharks are better at combat than commerce. With my growing to-do list trampling my free time, I needed someone new to partner with. That's when I found Shopify, the perfect business partner to get your idea off the ground and into the sky. Shopify's ready-to-use templates and powerful tools help me build an online store in no time. Their marketing platform makes it easy to ping potential customers with email or social media campaigns. And once you start making sales, Shopify manages everything from inventory to returns. That's why Shopify is the platform behind 10% of e-commerce in the US, including brands like The Command Zone and Gymshark. Wait, Gymshark? Sounds like Shabraz has competition in combat as well.
Turn your big business idea into... with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/TCZ. Go to shopify.com/TCZ. Again, shopify.com/TCZ.
All right, Josh, I'm calling you out.
Well, it's about time, Jimmy. Pistols at dawn.
No, what? No, about what you said about Factor.
Wait, did I use it, like it, and it saved me a bunch of money?
That you have an entire spreadsheet of all your personal reviews of Factor meals? No, you're making that up.
I'm the king of spreadsheets. Why would you not believe that? You know what? To prove it, I will put a link in the show notes to my spreadsheet so everybody out there can see it.
Oh, snap.
Seriously, Factor meals are amazing, and they've helped me lose over 20 pounds recently. Before Factor, fast food and delivery was just kind of my quickest thing to fit into my schedule, but now I get chef-crafted meals sent right to my door, and they're ready in less than 5 minutes. It just makes eating healthy so much easier. Factor has options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, Keto, basically whatever strategy you want. You get to choose from over 45 meals every week, and hey, if you want some recommendations, check out my spreadsheet. My personal favorite right now is the Indian-style buttered chicken, but there are a ton of dishes right now I think are great.
Dang, well, I stand corrected.
That will teach you to ever doubt my ability to optimize, Jimmy.
Get started at factormeals.com/command50off and use code command50off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box.
That's code command50off at factormeals.com/command50off for 50% off plus free shipping. Again, factormeals.com/command50off.
All right, my new deck list is complete. Now, let's see which cards I don't already own and buy them.
Wait,
How'd you do that without going through a million boxes?
Oh, I just use ARCHIDEKT. They make it super easy to upload and manage your collection. Then, when you're done brewing a deck, you can sort it by collection status to see what you already have.
So this group is just cards you don't own.
Yep, I just click buy this stack, and it takes me right to Card Kingdom.
Whoa.
ARCHIDEKT is the best place to browse, brew, and playtest commander decks. Just go to archidekt.com/commandzone to get started.
That's ARCHIDEKT.com/commandzone.
Welcome back, everybody. We are doing our best to talk about the most powerful cards in Edge of Eternities.
Yeah.
And things continue with a 5-color spacecraft.
Yeah, spacecraft.
Is this the first spacecraft we're talking about?
Yeah, I think so. We did talk about it in our pre-con upgrade, pre-con guide. Sorry, just I guess the pre-con preview. But this is the first one in this episode. It's the Infinite Guideline Station. A very powerful card. They kind of like teased it in one of their little trailers for the set. And they're like, it's a 715? It's like, that's right. That is the creature's power and toughness.
That's my bedtime.
Yeah. That's when The Simpsons would be on when I was a kid and we couldn't watch it.
You weren't allowed? I was
no.
definitely allowed. I was allowed to watch The Simpsons, but my mom made me cover my eyes during Itchy and Scratchy.
Itchy and Scratchy is definitely, yeah. For some reason, I was allowed to watch Ren and Stimpy, but not The Simpsons.
Interesting. I wonder if your parents just didn't know what Ren and
They didn't
Stimpy
know what was going
about.
on, yeah. All right, Infinite Guideline Station.
We're focused.
Has nothing to do with any of that.
No.
It's Wooburg, white, blue, black, red, green for a legendary artifact spacecraft. The new rules of Commander state that these can now be your commander.
As long as they turn into a creature eventually, they can be.
Yeah, so that includes vehicles as well. So Infinite Guideline Station enters, you create a tapped 2/2 colorless robot artifact creature token for each multicolored permanent you control. And then it has Station, which is a new ability in Edge of Eternities, so you can tap. It's kind of like Crew, but not really, and only at sorcery speed. It says, tap another creature you control, put charge counters equal to its power on this spacecraft, station only as a sorcery, and then it becomes an artifact creature, and this is different for all of the different spacecraft, but this one becomes an artifact creature when it has 12 or more charge counters on it. And at 12 or more charge counters on, this all of a sudden becomes a flying 7/15 creature. And it says, whenever Infinite Guideline Station attacks, you draw a card for each multicolored permanent you control.
Seems good.
Okay, so it comes in. If you have a bunch of multicolored stuff out, you're going to make a bunch of 2/2s. You can immediately tap all of those to station this up to...
They enter tapped.
Oh, they enter tap, sorry.
The robots enter tap.
The non-untapped, the multicolored permanents you control, if they are creatures, they can tap to add charge counters on it, and then when it becomes 12 plus, it becomes huge, and then when it attacks, you draw just like 5, 6, 7 cards off this thing.
Yeah. I mean, you need 6 multicolor permanents to just make all the robots so you can crew it by itself to attack with the next turn.
With the robots, yeah. You probably, by the way,
Which is kind of a lot.
You don't want to necessarily crew this the turn it comes down, or station it, sorry, because it then opens it up for removal and you haven't attacked with it. So you're likely waiting to station it up.
And it automatically makes one robot on its own because it counts itself.
Oh, good call.
Okay. 2. By the way, Josh plays this guy on game night, so you're going to see exactly how to build the Infinite Guideline Station.
Josh Lee Kwai style.
Josh Lee Kwai style, but we're going to go through a couple things that you can do if you want to build this deck. Obviously, it's a multicolor matters deck. It focuses on making a lot of like cheap multicolored permanents to make a whole bunch of robots when it enters the battlefield.
Yeah.
Whenever I see a strong ETB on a commander, I'm immediately like, how do I blink it?
Yeah. It's in white as well, and it's an artifact.
Yeah, it's 5 colors, so you got all the options in the world. The first thing I wanted to look at was how do you blink artifacts repeatedly? Because this isn't a creature until you station it, and you really don't want to like station it, then blink it, and then station it, and then blink it. That's very inefficient. So Teleportation Circle is a fancy little card that allows you to blink creatures, but also artifacts.
Hey.
So I think that's a great option.
Yeah, and then Abuelo Ancestral Echo is great because it is a multicolored permanent itself. And then for 1 white and a blue, you can blink a creature or artifact you control. Actually, it's just good to have these effects because your commander is a magnet.
Super scary, yeah.
Yeah, you want to immediately kill this thing because just getting hit for it 3 times means game over.
Yeah.
So forcing them to blink it is great, but also bad because they make a bunch of robots.
Yeah. Nahiri's Resolve is pretty sweet, as well as 3 red, white for an enchantment. Creatures you can control get +1/+0 and have haste. And then at the beginning of your end step, exile any number of non-token artifacts and or creatures you control. Return those cards to the battlefield under their owner's control at the beginning of your next upkeep. So it keeps it safe.
Yeah.
The entire time, and then it enters on your upkeep, and it has haste, so it can attack next turn.
Yeah.
So this does sort of blink it, protect it, and it's a multicolor permanent.
Yeah, that's really sweet. Touch the Spirit Realm. I just absolutely is one of my pet cards. I love it. You can channel it for 1 white to discard it, and then you basically flicker something, an artifact or a creature, and it could be also your opponent's stuff too, so protection. But also just by itself, it's just 2 white enchantment, exile something under it.
Yep. Touch is really powerful in decks like this.
Yeah.
So obviously the blinking doesn't go really well with the stationing the counters. You're going to blink off all of your station counters. But if you're protecting or if you just want to build up a big board so you can station all at once and attack, I think that is a good way to do it.
Yeah, the way that these decks lose is forcing them to recast it over and over again for 7, then 9, then 11 mana. And then because the robots come in tapped, it doesn't have haste. It gives them almost 2 turns off. So blinking it is, I just think you probably run a small package of this at the very least if you're not going full-blown like Teleportation Circle.
Yeah. The next section we are gonna talk about is multicolored cards. There's a lot of ways you can do this. Obviously, multicolored isn't a huge restriction. You can play a lot of good stuff cards that you would put in many decks. Rhythm of the Wild is perfect. It's cheap and it protects not your commander. I guess it casts as an artifact.
Yeah,
but it protects all of your stuff when you cast it, and it gives stuff haste. Lotho, Corrupt Sheriff is white and it's black, and it gives you ramp. Fabro Elder is perfect.
Classic.
It's green, it's white. It gives you Wooburg mana. So like all of that stuff is going to be very good in this deck. But I think if you really want to like zero in on some of the synergy, at least the way that I would build it is lean into multicolored permanents that have ETBs.
Yeah.
So I would do the blink thing.
Okay. Yeah. So if you're playing a Carter Doom Scourge, it's multicolored. Go to all the creatures basically that your opponents have.
Yeah.
And I've just seen this thing take over games when it's
Absolutely.
played multiple times. Baleful Strix, early play to get down to stop a lot of incoming attacks, draws you a card. Coiling Oracle gets you a little bit of value, and very good in blink strategies, like you said.
Pantlaza Sunfavored is a great thing to blink repeatedly. It's multicolored permanent, and it enters and you discover 4. You don't need to play other dinosaurs for this just to be a very strong ETB.
Yeah.
I considered building a Pantlaza Blink deck and decided that would not be what people want to watch. But
well, would you want to watch it in your own playgroup?
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
But it's a cool little thing if you can repeatedly get that value going.
Yeah, and obviously you're making a ton of tokens with this deck. Like, don't discount that part of it. So there are a bunch of cards that work really well with this. Hardened Tactician allows you to pay 1 to sack a token to draw a card. Great value. Stormclaw Rager allows you to pay 1 to sack a creature or artifact, and you put a 1/1 counter on it and draw a card. So these are both multicolored permanents. They come down early. You get a bunch of tokens, and even if your commander gets removed, you still have a lot of value because you just made 6 2/2 robots or whatever that you can use for other things.
Yeah. Weight of the Reliquary is great. It's a sack outlet for your robots, and it's a multicolored permanent that comes down early. You can sack a robot, and you search a library for any land, put it onto the battlefield tapped.
Oh, yeah, any land. That's actually really good in these
It's really good.
decks. Yeah.
The other thing that Josh did that I think is really clever with this deck is making multicolored tokens. Citizen tokens, pest tokens. There's some like elementals and wizards that are multicolored.
Right.
So there's sort of a tricky thing to look for. I tried to find a couple of them here just to give you an example. Rabble Rousing is really good. It's whenever you attack with a creature, you make citizens for each attacking creature you control. So if you need to recast your commander, you can enter, make a ton of more robots. Or if you're blinking it, you'll already have a ton of citizens.
Yeah, each robot makes a 1/1, which is pretty sick.
Absolutely. This card's great and in go-wide strategies and will make you a ton of things to draw if you get to attack or just make a bunch of robots.
Pest Infestation, just a great card, XX green, destroy up to X target artifacts or enchantments, and then you create twice X 1/1 black and green pest creature tokens. So sometimes you're just casting this just to make the tokens. Yeah. You don't even care so much about this because there's not enough targets. Even.
You're like, I'll blow up this, that, this, and I'll make like 10 pests.
Because it's up to, so you can cast F for X for huge just to make a huge board, and then they all count for your commander as well.
Grist, the Hunger Tide. The insects that Grist makes are green and black, and Grist herself, of course, is green and black, and it's a removal spell.
Yeah,
Grist this card's
awesome.
incredible. Yeah, it's really good.
Okay, let's talk about some more multicolored stuff. Hooray.
Yeah, this is like multicolored synergy. Like if you're really, really building around the multicolored spell thing.
Yeah.
Mana Cannons is great. Whenever you cast a multicolored spell, deals X damage to any target, where X is the number of colors that spell is.
Any target is huge.
Yeah.
This is a monocolored card, so it doesn't actually trigger that part of your commander. But man, just having your commander do an additional 5 to something. Yeah. Face.
Not as good if you're doing all the like multicolored token things because those are a lot of monocolored spells. But if you're really leaning into like the legends part of it.
Yeah. Widespread Thieving is another hideaway card from Capenna. Whenever you cast a multicolored spell, you create a treasure token. Pretty sweet. And then you may pay Wooburg. If you do, you can play the exiled card under this card, the hideaway card, without paying its mana cost. So
yeah, maybe you do that, but mostly you make treasures.
Yeah. General Ferris Rokirik. Whenever you cast a multicolor spell, you make a red and white golem artifact creature token. That's a 4/4. So multicolored permanent that comes with it. This is like the perfect card for this kind of deck. Because you just want to make those tokens. It's going to make your board huge. And it's so nice. Hexproof and monocolored too. Oof, can't even get rid of it.
He's great. Falagi Wayfarer is 2 and a green for a human scout. Falagi Wayfarer is all colors. And then multicolored spells you cast have Convoke.
Oh,
if you're
the
doing
robots.
the token thing, the robots are colorless, so they can't really help you with the colored pips, but they can help with everything else.
Yeah.
And then if you're doing the multicolored token thing, it's obviously incredible.
Yeah,
So
I love it.
I think that card's pretty cool.
Okay, so that's one spacecraft.
Let's move on to another.
Why not? So this is the face commander of the deck that Kilo Apogee Mind is in the Jeskai deck. It's Inspirit, Flagship Vessel. Da, 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 da. Blue, red, and the white for a 5/5 with Legendary Artifact Spacecraft, and it has Station. Again, you tap creatures at sorcery speed to add charge counters to it. And in this case, it has 2 sort of station settings. The first is at 1 or more charge counters, so this is very easy to get there. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you put your choice of a 1/1 counter or 2 charge counters on up to 1 other target artifact. So that's pretty sweet. And then the second ability happens at 8 when it becomes a creature, and it gets flying and becomes a 5/5. And it says other artifacts you control have hexproof and indestructible.
Pretty good.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's really sweet. But the first one comes down at 3 mana. You can immediately station it for 1, and boom, you're putting charge counters on 2 charge counters on another artifact at the beginning of combat.
That's the thing that really stood out to me as well. That many charge counters is a huge swing for certain equipment that really use it. I really focused on the charge counter thing. I think if you want to build Jeskai +1/+1 counters, there's better commanders.
Yeah, Kilo.
Kilo, I think, is much stronger as a +1 counter commander. But if you really want to focus on the charge counter thing, there's some cool stuff that you can do with Inspirit.
This is the best charge counter commander ever created.
I think so, yeah.
By far, yeah. It's insane. It just puts so many counters on it. So if you have an Everflowing Chalice, you play it for 0. Who cares?
Who cares?
You get 2 on it, and you immediately get 2 mana off that same turn. Astral Cornucopia, we mentioned before. Insane.
Yeah.
With the Inspirit.
Yep. Coalition Relic is another one that you remove all of the counters at the same time, but you can load up counters on the Coalition Relic. We mentioned Pented Prism, but I wanted to talk about Jeweled Amulet. This is a weird old card that works really well when you can put additional charge counters on it. It's a 0 mana artifact that has 2 abilities. It says 1 and tap, put a charge counter on this artifact. Note the type of mana spent to pay this activation cost. Activate only if there's no charge counters on this artifact.
Okay,
so
you put a charge counter,
play
you
for
say
0,
blue.
you pay 1, tap it. And you like store a blue mana on there, basically.
Yeah.
Then it says tap or remove a charge counter from this artifact. Add 1 mana of this artifact's last noted type.
Yeah.
So as long as you have put 1 charge counter on this thing manually, it remembers that you have said blue. And now if you put 2 charge counters on it with your commander, you just have 3 charge counters that you can remove later. You've got this sort of mox that has more upkeep.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
So Jeweled Amulet's going to be a staple in this deck. It is really old. It's like $13. So if you want to build this thing, you should pick up a Jeweled Amulet sooner rather than later.
Yeah. It's just one of those weird kind of fun old cards. It costs 0 mana too.
Costs 0 mana. I think it's very powerful.
Decks. Yeah. And then there's charge counters on other things like equipment, like Lost Jite adds charge counters. So this is a 1 mana Jite with equip 1. And whenever it deals combat damage to the equipped creature, you put a charge counter on it, and you can remove a charge counter at instant speed to choose 1. So you can either untap a target land, target creature can't block this turn, or you put a 1/1 counter on the equipped creature. So you get this thing up to 3 charge counters, 2 charge counters immediately with your commander. You can untap lands that same turn. Like, this is really powerful.
Yeah. Lost Jite, Umizawa's Jite, both great ways to use those counters and keep them going by themselves. Like, you can put this on a creature and get more charge counters. There's a lot of cool disruptive cards like Umizawa's Jite, like Transmogrifying Wand.
Oh, yeah, this is fun.
This card's good.
Yeah, it comes in with 3 charge counters, and you pay 1 and tap it to remove a charge counter. You make a destroy creature to turn it into a 2/4 white ox.
You can only do it at sorcery speed, but like 4 mana to kill your first thing, and that's the big cost.
Yeah.
And then the bummer is that you eventually can't do it anymore. But if you can keep refilling your Transmogrifying Wand, and you can keep killing 1 creature a turn,
Yeah.
that's very powerful.
Yeah, I dig that. Geist Flame Reservoir, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, you put a charge counter on it, and then the 2 relevant abilities, 1 in a red, tap, remove any number of charge counters, it deals that much damage to any target. So this could very easily get really high. And then also 1 in a red, tap it, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. And it requires no charge counters. You can just exile cards off the top of your library. So in late game, it becomes more of a like, I just need to dig a little deeper, or I'm just going to nuke someone for a bunch of damage and boom, take them out of the game.
Yeah. There aren't a ton of effects that really do stuff with charge counters on them. So anything that you have a good place to put charge counters, you just kind of play it. Like, I don't think this card is quite good enough for just the second ability, but if it's a great place to store charge counters that you can use later and pick stuff off, then it is going to be really beneficial.
Yeah, a lot of choices in this deck because you're going to go to combat and be like, what do I want to put charge counters on now? Well, the Transmogrifying Wand already has 3 on there, maybe for later, you know, and so you can like really make a lot of choices in the deck. It's kind of fun. You can also probably do an infinite turns thing again with Magistrate's Scepter. You just have to be able to proliferate.
As long as you proliferate one time, you only have to remove 3 charge counters from the Scepter to take an extra turn. So as long as you can proliferate once a turn, you can take infinite turns.
Yeah, hooray.
Speaking of proliferate.
Yeah, Kilo obviously is probably on the ship in the lore and deserves this place in this deck as well.
It's also just really good. It's good at stationing, and it makes sure that like once you've invested charge counters and stuff that you are increasing that number.
Yep, and so proliferating in general is going to be really good in this deck. Flux Channeler, like we mentioned earlier. Dreamtide Whale is a really sweet one. It's 2 in the blue with Vanishing 2, so you want to proliferate the Vanishing counters on it, because whenever a player casts their second spell each turn, including yourself, you can play the Dreamtide Whale and something else, you proliferate. So you can keep the charge counters up on it. It's also just a 7/5, notably. But this thing sticks around for a long time. It's a huge threat. People don't attack into it. You can attack with it. And as long as you keep those vanishing counters proliferated upwards, it just sticks around. It keeps your proliferate engine going at a cheap mana cost, too.
I think if you're going to build either Kilo or the Face Commander, you're probably buying the Precon. There's a lot of cool proliferate stuff in that Precon out of the box as well. I did want to mention this because I think this is a cool direction the deck could eventually go. We're not quite there yet, but there are some like cool spells synergy cards that use charge counters.
Right.
Like Primal Amulet says instants and sorceries. You cast cost 1 less to cast, and whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, you put a charge counter on that. Then if there's 4 or more, you flip it. And you flip it into a land that whenever you cast an instant or sorcery with it, you copy it. So if you can supercharge this Primal Amulet, flip it into a land right away, you have a really powerful permanent that you've like used your commander to get.
Yeah. Normally Primal Amulet, it needs to be in specifically Spell Matters decks and wants to cast multiple like 1-drop cantrips or whatever. But this, you can probably do it by the second turn that comes out.
Yeah.
Adaptive Training Post is very similar when you cast an instant or sorcery spell. If this artifact has fewer than 3 charge counters on it, you put a charge counter on it. But you don't care about that because you can just add charge counters to it with your commander, and it says remove 3 charge counters on it, and it copies the next instant or sorcery spell you cast this turn. You can choose new targets. So there's a lot of combo-y things you can probably do there.
So those cards are really cool, and I think you really lean into all of the mana rocks that deal with charge counters in the meantime, and so you're trying to cast like big X spells or big expensive spells that you're copying with these like spelly counters matter stuff. Yeah. So that's sort of a different direction that you can go. I don't know if the support is quite there yet, but
not yet.
It's neat.
Okay, let's talk about a lobster.
Yep. A lobster citizen.
He
has taken a citizenship test.
He has taken a citizenship test, and they're like, you know what? Hey, wait. It's a lobster that can cook.
Yeah, he's a gastronaut.
Hopefully he's not cooking himself. That would be kind of crazy. It's red and the white for Ragost, Deft Gastronaut. Such a fun little term.
It's really good.
Yeah, good job, team. It's a 2/2 lobster citizen. Artifacts you control are foods in addition to their other types, and they can tap for 2 and sack to gain 3 life. You can also pay 1 and tap Ragost to sack a food, and it deals 3 damage to each opponent. And then at the beginning of each end step, if you gain life this turn, you untap Ragost.
Okay. A lot to think about here. All your artifacts are foods.
Right.
So food synergies, hypothetically, is good. Now you're trying to sacrifice. Oh, it's not this one. It could be, though.
It could be, though, yeah.
And then you want a lot of artifacts that you can sacrifice so you can do this burning thing. And then some amount of the time you're going to want to sacrifice some of these foods to gain life so you can untap Ragost or just have a life gain package.
You have some sort of life gain package, yeah.
Right. So there's a lot of sort of stuff going on this 2-mana commander. The first thing I wanted to look at is like, all your stuff is foods. What can you do in red and white that care about foods? And the answer is not very much.
Well, we've talked about a bunch of them in white already.
We did.
Astrid Peth, obviously, Apothecary White. Again, these are both creatures that make foods when they enter, and then you do things with those foods.
The one I immediately shouted out loud was Food Fight!
Hey, here we go.
1 and a red for an enchantment. Artifacts you control have 2. Sacrifice this artifact. It deals damage to any target equal to 1 plus the number of permanents named Food Fight you control. So 2, sack it, deal 2 damage. It's mostly a flavor choice. It's not
A
great.
flavor choice?
You got to play it. It's the rules. Sorry.
Yeah, Academy Manufacturer is, though, definitely a must play in this deck.
Yeah, if you're making a ton of food tokens, it's just great.
Yeah,
Plus, he's a food himself.
And you get to get 3 foods, basically, because the clue,
That's true.
food, and treasure are all foods
You
on
make
top
a
of
food clue, you make a treasure clue, you make a
treasure food,
a food,
yeah.
I wanted to mention that this can be a Zerta deck, which is kind of cool.
Oh, that's right.
It's a red-white commander that has an activated ability, so you can put Zerta in the companion zone if you'd like, as long as everything in the deck has activated abilities themselves.
But it's not a mana ability, so it will reduce the cost of it by 2 if you do play Zerta in the deck, and it's pretty sweet. You can also make a creature unblockable, but you probably don't do that so much.
It reduces the activation of your foods. The next section I wanted to talk about is like artifacts that we're giving sacrifice abilities to is kind of cool. So I wanted artifacts that have dice triggers.
Right, because they're foods.
Yeah, because they're foods. So you've been obviously, and your commander sacrifices them.
Yeah.
So like Ugin's Nexus is sweet.
Oh, yeah. So it's a 5-mana artifact. It stops other players from taking extra turns, but specifically if Ugin's Nexus will be put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you exile it and take an extra turn after this one.
Yeah, it's a 5-mana artifact extra turn combo. Sick.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, it's very cool.
Ichor Wellspring and like all of those types of cards, the 2-mana ones that when they enter and when they leave the battlefield do something. So Ichor Wellspring draws cards, prize statue, makes treasures, which is really good.
Spine of Ishsaw, classic old card. When it leaves, you destroy a permanent.
And you play Spine, you sack it as a food, you return it to your hand. 9 mana, destroy anything repeatedly combo.
Red, white is busted.
Gotta be good.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully you're also, in this deck, if you are playing your clan Ironworks and stuff, you can power out this sort of stuff really quickly.
Probably.
But yeah, I mean, this is definitely one of those like, oh my gosh, what is happening over here?
I wanted stuff that like cares about when you sacrifice artifacts. There isn't a ton that exist right now, but Crime Novelist is definitely the best option.
Oh yeah.
Whenever you sacrifice an artifact, you put a +1 counter on Crime Novelist and you add red mana.
Yeah, I thought this card would see a lot more play originally, but it feels like it really needs the right deck to make it hum. So this is kind of it.
This seems good.
Yeah.
There's a lot of treasures, a lot of foods, obviously, so.
Yeah, I also really like Ferret, Enterprising Salvager. This card has an incredible showing in an Extra Turns episode with Olivia's deck. But it's 2 and red for 3/3. Whenever a non-token artifact you control is put into a graveyard, you create a colorless artifact token named Scrap.
Scrap food.
Yeah, and then you can pay 1 and a red to sacrifice an artifact, so this is great for other stuff in your deck. And you choose one to either put a 1 counter on Ferret and gains Menace, or you go to creature, or you discard and draw. So just a way to change all your artifacts into just like additional value, as well as anytime you have a regular, your Ichor Wellsprings or whatever, you make more tokens. Scrap.
And their foods.
And their foods as well.
Treasure Nabber.
Oh, interesting.
Steal their artifacts and eat them.
Yeah, that's great, actually.
It's really good.
Yeah, normally you're like, okay, fine, I'll let you treasure nab my soul ring, but it comes back, right? You're like, no, not if I turn it into some yummy foods.
Not if I eat it.
I'm a lobster.
The funniest thing about this deck to me is you can eat anything. You can eat vehicles. You can eat you can eat soul rings.
Yeah, it's
you can
amazing.
eat like super powerful artifacts.
Yeah, you're a trash compactor.
Yeah. So Treasure Nabber, definitely very good. Togo made me laugh because every time a land comes in, you make a rock and then you can throw the food.
Oh,
and
interesting.
It's so you build your own little food fight.
Or you can be that kid that eats rocks.
Nice.
There you go. Yeah. Rose Cutthroat Raider, Rachel favorite, makes a lot of junk tokens for each opponent you attack, and then when you sack junks, you add food.
What kind of tokens?
Junk food.
Yeah.
Junk food. Nice. Yeah, so it's like, this deck's not so powerful, but it is fun.
It is super fun. And that's really like
we said.
You can build this as like a red-white or like Bernie artifacts deck.
Yeah.
And that's definitely a thing you can do where you're like, I have the welder and I'm bringing stuff back from the graveyard and I'm sacrificing. But I think if you're building this deck specifically, you're focusing on being a little weird about it and putting some silly things in.
Joshua is probably good in this deck too, because it also gains life on the backside and brings stuff back. Yeah.
Speaking of life gain, I do think it is worth having a little bit of life gain just to make sure you're untapping your commander. maybe once every turn.
Yeah, you definitely want to untap your commander a bunch. I mean, your win con is making everyone drain 3.
Right. It's a burn deck at the end of the day. So you do want to make sure that you're untapping your lobster. Leonin Elder is a single white. Whenever an artifact comes into play, you may gain 1 life. Under your control, under your opponent's control, you're gaining a lot of life. It's a Soul Sister, but for artifacts.
Yeah, you got Ratchet Field Medic. Whenever you gain life, you can convert it, and then you return an artifact with mana value less than or equal to the amount of life you gained from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. So this is just like a really sweet engine. And then on the other side, whenever one or more non-token artifacts are put into a graveyard, you convert Ratchet. It only triggers once per turn. So this is just like a slow but continual loop-de-doop-de-doops. Yeah.
Inventor's Fair is a classic, gains you a life. Done.
Yep.
Sun Droplet is a 2-mana artifact that it's whenever you dealt damage, you may put charge counters on the Sun Droplet, and then at the beginning of each upkeep, you remove a charge counter and you gain 1 life.
Yeah.
So whenever you lose life, you get to store it later and you get to gain the life back once per turn, which triggers your commander to untap.
Yep. Okay, Ragost does damage himself as the lobster, so you can also give Ragost lifelink. So when you do the sack thing to make people drain, you also, not drain, lose life, you also gain that much life.
Yeah.
So Basilisk Collar is pretty sweet in this deck as also just an artifact that's a food, so you can eat the collar.
Eat the collar.
Yeah.
I dare you.
I dare you. Sheltered by Ghosts is a really sweet enchantment aura that exiles a creature when it enters, but it also gives a creature +1/+0, lifelink, and ward 2. So really annoying.
Does make your commander a target for removal.
Oh, for sure. But now it's got ward 2, so less of a target.
Difficult.
There you go.
Witch's Clinic, just 2 tap, target commander gains lifelink until end of turn.
Yeah, sick.
So if you have like an untap engine going on, you can pop off, gain a ton of life. The one thing I was thinking is, like, if you untap your commander once a turn, you're still paying 1 every time and sacrificing a thing every time.
Yeah,
so
you'll run out of stuff fast.
You will run out of mana. You will run out of stuff fast. You're dealing up to 12 damage, which is pretty sick. But I don't think you necessarily need to untap him every single time to get maximum value, because it just feels like you're going to sack your whole board and be in a bit of trouble.
Yeah, you could try to. You're playing Drum Bellower to untap a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
But I feel like you kind of want to just amp up the damage. So like Virtue of Courage will deal more damage, right?
No.
This
one gives you cards. This card's cool.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
It says whenever a source you control deals non-combat damage to an opponent, you may exile that many cards from the top of your library. You may play those cards this turn. It's 9 cards.
Oh, that's right. Wow. It's pretty sick.
So you will exile a lot of your library this way, but hypothetically, you're a low-to-the-ground artifact deck. You can cast a lot of them.
Yeah. I guess Chandra's Incinerator is more what I was thinking about. When a source deals non-combat damage to an opponent, it deals that much damage to a creature or planeswalker that player controls, and then you can sometimes cast this just for 1 red mana.
Yeah. If you've activated your commander, it costs red.
Yeah. Spell costs X less to cast. X the amount of non-combat damage dealt to opponents this turn.
Nice. This helps you clean up the board. You are going to be the most annoying person at the table. They're going to be like, you stop dealing
I'm used
3
to
damage.
it.
Like, look, I play a Dragon's Approach deck. It doesn't win a lot because it's the most annoying deck at the table.
Yeah, everyone's like, I gotta kill that deck first.
So you do need to speed up the clock a little bit, and this next card is definitely to do that.
Yeah, Torture Pit or Spiked Corridor. You want to unlock it on the Torture Pit side. If a source would deal non-combat damage, it deals damage +2 instead.
Yep. A little Torbran.
Yeah, a little Torbran. Fire Emancipation, City on Fire, all these sorts of things will help you kill people faster.
Yeah, you do need to speed up the clock because it is a heavy cost to sacrifice an artifact every time you do it. So if you can double that damage, do it.
Yeah, Soulfin, Mayhem Dominus, similar. I think what you're doing in this deck, though, is really setting up a bunch of value in the early game and then waiting for one of those, like, all right, 1-turn rotation, I can just kill everyone out of nowhere.
Yeah.
By slamming down one of these doublers or amplifiers and then just going crazy.
Yeah.
Okay.
On to another Boros commander. This one's very powerful. It's Sami, Wildcat Captain.
Yeah.
4 red, white for a human artificer rogue. That is a 4/4 with double strike and vigilance. And it says spells you cast have affinity for artifacts.
Okay.
Can't see that going wrong.
No way. Affinity for artifacts for all your spells?
All of them.
Wow, pretty sweet. Now, this is a 6-mana commander, but when it lands, everything becomes pretty much free.
It should be.
Especially your colorless spells.
By the time your commander hits the battlefield, your spells should be free.
Yeah, so pretty sick.
So a lot of it is going to be setting up and getting a lot of artifacts on the board. Noble's Purse is kind of one of my favorites for decks like this. I focused on colorless cards here because they're free once your commander comes down.
Yeah.
Noble's Purse is a 2-mana artifact that when it enters the battlefield tapped and with 3 coin counters on it. And you can tap it to remove a coin counter and make a treasure.
Yeah.
So it's 2 mana, ultimately makes 4 artifacts.
Yep. Magda, Brazen Outlaw, comes in early, taps, makes artifacts, but you can also sack treasures later on to find an artifact or dragon onto the battlefield. You can probably do that a bunch in this deck.
Hypothetically, you want big colorless spells, so I would see that Magda's sort of like a backup for getting big things into play.
Yeah. Unexpected Windfall is a great draw engine that creates treasures. Smothering Tithe, obviously, in this deck goes nuts.
It's just kind of bananas.
Yeah.
Generous Plunderer is one that I like a lot. It makes a treasure for you and one for your opponent, and it just gives you a new artifact every turn.
Yeah. You're going to be making treasures in this deck. Academy Manufacturer is super good. Now it's pumping up 3/4/1, and the affinity effect just goes nuts at that point.
Yes. And anything you can put on the board that is sort of like a repeatable artifact token generator is going to be really good.
Yeah.
This might even be a Skrelv's Hive deck.
Oh, Skrelv's Hive, that's
which
right.
is largely unplayable in everything else. But if you make one artifact a turn, by the time your commander comes down, this will have made like 3-4 artifacts for you.
Yeah.
Anim Pakal and Myrel Shield of Argive are both like really powerful creature artifact generators as well.
Yeah, they will need to attack to be able to do their thing. But when they do, you make a bunch of things. Clown Car?
This is the Clown Car deck,
This is a Clown Car deck. All right, we got there.
We're going to get there.
Okay, let's talk about ramp. So you have a 6-mana commander, but when you play the commander, everything comes out free. So you're okay playing bigger mana rocks because there are times when you just cast your commander and then slam a Thran Dynamo down for free.
Yeah. It's I think playing Thran Dynamo is really good in this deck. I think I would probably play Gilded Lotus. I'm a big fan of Lavabrink Floodgates. I think this card's pretty underplayed. It's 3 and a red for an artifact that taps for 2 red. So it's 4 mana, gives you 2 red mana back. And then it says at the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player may put a Doom counter on it or remove a Doom counter on it. Then if it has 3 or more Doom counters on it, sacrifice the Floodgates. When you do, it deals 6 damage to each creature, which isn't ideal. But you remove the Doom counters, and most people are very interested in keeping their board. So the Doom counter thing ends up being
fun little politics
more of a
thing
joke
too, as well.
Yeah.
We do enjoy that. Another way to power out some big stuff with X-Spells, because now that you have Affinity, you can now cast huge things that give you more things. White Sun's Twilight, X, White, White. You make a bunch of 1/1 Phyrexian Might artifact creatures with Toxic 1. And if X is 5 or more, you destroy all other creatures.
So there's a lot of moments where this is really good in the deck. I think if you like put a bunch of treasure tokens on the board and you're ready for your commander, but you just want to slam a big White Sun's Twilight, clear the board, and then next turn be like commander, spell.
Right.
And that all costs less because you have all these mites.
Yeah.
Not to mention this card's just really good.
Yeah, or you just play your commander, cast us for a bunch, and then hope to keep that board and kill everyone with Toxic.
That too. That too.
Yeah, Clown Car, X mana, gets way less. Man, imagine a Clown Car for like 10 mana, roll 10 dice.
You get to roll so many dice, and then you make clowns, which are also artifacts.
Yeah, make clowns or make a huge car. Pretty sick.
Hell to Pay is X in a red. Hell to Pay deals X damage to target creature. Create a number of tapped treasure tokens equal to the amount of excess damage dealt to that creature this way. It's a removal spell that's great after your commander comes down. It's good before your commander comes down. Kill some stuff. Make some treasures.
Okay, other huge colorless spells that you can cast for free. Ingenuity Engine has Cascade for 7 mana, and it's pay 1 and tap it, sack an artifact, return an artifact you control to its owner's hand.
You can just keep playing this for free and sacrificing a thing, returning Ingenuity Engine, playing it again.
Yeah.
Cascade through a lot of your deck.
Yeah. You unfortunately will not want to Cascade into a Walking Ballista.
Probably not, but it is still good in the deck.
But it's still really good in the deck, yeah, because now the X is reduced by an insane amount on this, and it just becomes a huge threat. And then you've got your classic Eldrazi, so like Kozilek, Butcher of Truth, refill your hand.
Yes.
And then you play more stuff out of your hand.
I have a deck that's like this. I have a Rakdos Lord of Riots deck that reduces a lot of colorless costs, and any time you have a colorless spell that draws you cards, slam it.
Yeah.
So Kozilek going to be the best Eldrazi for you for sure.
Yeah.
The new Ugin, Eye of the Storms, is like foul.
So disgusting.
Because you have so many colorless cards in your deck.
And you cast it, you exile something, you gain 3 life, draw a card, or you can just pay 0 to add 3 colorless mana, so you can really go off with this if you're not paying the full discount or whatever.
Yeah.
And then if you play Ancestral Statue, you probably go infinite with Ugin casts.
Sure can.
Yeah. So if you have, as long as you have 7 affinity, right? You play Ancestral Statue, bounce the Ugin, recast it again for free.
Well,
right?
Ancestral Statue has to bounce itself to go into it.
Oh, it has to bounce itself.
So you leave Ugin on the board, but you can cast Ancestral Statue infinite times
times
and exile all the permanents.
Right.
You can't it's
whenever you cast in the color spell, it's up to one target when there's one or more colors.
That's one or more colors. So you can't hit like lands and stuff. You can't hit most people's artifacts, but you can wipe their boards brutally. Ancestral Statue, of course, is a classic combo piece in decks like this. When it enters, you can return a non-land permanent you control to its owner's hand. You return the statue itself and play it again.
Yeah. Sick with Ugin.
Yeah, this deck's wild. It's going to be very feast or famine. It's definitely going to be heavy on treasure tokens because they help you cast your 6-mana commander, and of course, they reduce all the spells after that.
Okay, Sami, fun stuff. All right, let's talk about not a red-white commander. Let's talk about the bug commander in the bug deck. This is the backup commander. It's a Zero Genesis Shepherd. It's a Crucible of Worlds in the command zone.
Yeah, I'm stoked about it.
Yeah, 2 black, red, and the green for a 2/5 flying. You may play lands from your graveyard. And whenever you sacrifice another non-token permanent during your turn, you put a number of 1/1 counters equal to Zero's power on up to one other target creature. So sack a fetch land, sack an Evolving Wild, sack any kind of non-token permanent. You get that many 1/1 counters equal to Zero's power. So in this case, starts at 2. It could be way more depending on how you play this deck.
Yeah, you probably want to eventually buff Szarel's power. We will talk about that in a second. But the first thing that is important in this deck are fetch lands.
Yeah, this is an expensive deck, most likely, if you're playing it optimally, because you want to play the off-color fetches as well.
Yep.
You know, you're going to just want to constantly be playing a cracked fetch land and then playing it back from your graveyard, doing it again multiple times. You've got your Azuzas and all that stuff as well.
Yeah, this is peak, you buy all the fetch lands that you can, and that's like how you power out this deck. I do think you can do a budget version. It's just going to be a little slower.
Yeah,
you'll need the Fabled Passage and the Evolving Wilds and Terramorphic Expanse. There's a couple others that are similar to that now.
Yeah.
Realms Uncharted, if you're playing fewer,
Busted in
really,
this deck.
really good. If you're playing fewer fetch lands, like if you're in the more budget version, Realms Uncharted becomes more important. This is a 3-mana instant that says search a library for 4 land cards with different names and reveal them. An opponent chooses 2 of them, puts them into the graveyard. How will we get them from there?
No.
And the rest go into your hand. So this is 3 mana, draw 4 lands, basically.
Yeah.
So you get some fetch lands, you get some synergy lands, and put them exactly where you want, so you can keep playing them.
I do love a good Summer Bloom deck. 1 in the green, you can play up to 3 additional lands this turn. So again, this is just like play 3 lands, crack all of them, play them again. Play 2 lands, play 1, whatever. You can just play a bunch from your graveyard over and over again just to crack them over and over again, and boom, you have made a creature like, +8 +8 or +6 +6 or whatever.
Yeah. This deck should be really, really good at hitting every single land drop that you have access to, so additional land drops are even more powerful.
Yeah, Azusa, like I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Nahiri's Lethal Forming is a sweet one.
card.
Yeah, X red, sack X lands for each land sacrifice. This way you draw a card, and then you may play X additional lands this turn, including from the graveyard, so all the lands you just sacked. They do, however, enter the battlefield tapped this turn.
You sack all your lands, you draw that many cards, you replay all of your lands, and you have a huge burst of card advantage.
If you're playing Amulet of Vigor I would say might be one of the more expensive cards in the budget version of this deck. So you get all those lands untapped as well. So cards like this just get better and better. Yeah.
Yeah, but no matter what price you're putting on this commander, you want as many lands that sacrifice themselves as possible, and a lot of them do come in the precon, which is nice.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about how to make this bug. It gets bigger, and then all the other stuff it creates gives counters to get huge. So Scythe Hat Cub, 1 in the green for a 2/2 with trample. Whenever land you control enters, you put a 1/1 counter on the creature you control. And if it's the second time the ability is resolved this turn, you double the number of 1/1 creatures on that creature instead.
You're a fetch land deck. You can do that.
You definitely do that.
That one's very expensive. Bristly Bill is also quite expensive, but there's also Roaring Earth and Ride the Shoopuf.
Oh yeah, Ride the Shoopuf. I love this card in Final Fantasy.
Yeah, this card's good. I mean, they're both enchantments that say whenever a land you control enters, put a +1 counter on target creature you control.
Yeah,
Perfect.
We
have a ton of landfall going on. We can buff our commander, and then every time we sack a fetch, all of those counters go on to another creature.
And now it's the 6th time we've mentioned Walking Ballista
It's
this
back.
episode. Yeah.
This card's just really nuts.
Yeah, Walking Ballista, also Market Ballista, that version. Right? There's a lot of these XX type creatures out there now. They just get better when you're adding 1/1 counters to stuff because they synergize with them.
Yeah, if you have good creatures that are good at wearing counters, I think that's like what I would put in this deck. I would put like Runaway Steamkin, where you can remove 3 +1 counters from the Steamkin to add red.
Yeah.
And then every time you crack a fetch, you put more counters onto it, and you can make 3 red again.
Yeah.
So that's very, very powerful.
Yeah, you don't even need to cast red spells to make this good, right?
No. Yeah, this is all about just moving the +1 counters around.
Although technically you do have this out. Your commander comes down, it's a red spell, it gets a counter on it, and then you add 2 1/1 counters that same turn, then you can immediately use it that turn. So it's a pretty sweet combo there.
Card seems great.
Yeah. Mindless Automaton. Automaton is a card that allows you to discard cards, which is good if you want to put something in the graveyard to put a 1/1 counter on it. But more likely, you're just going to remove 2 counters from it to draw a card. And it enters with 2 1/1 counters as well.
You can definitely win with +1/+1 counters and just attacking with them, but these are great. Like you can sort of put +1 counters on any creature and they're good. These are just extra good.
Yeah. Okay, how do we sacrifice stuff? Because, we want to sack permanents to trigger your commander a bunch of times, right?
Yeah, I mean, fetch lands are great and they'll give you a couple sacks a turn, but if you want to have a little bit more control over it, if you want to buff stuff at instant speed, you need to have free sack outlets that you can use whenever. So Zuran Orb is a classic that just lets you sacrifice lands at instant speed, gain some life, buff
tap it
something.
for mana, sack it, replay it. Pretty sick. Sylvan Safekeeper, you can sack a land to give a creature a shroud until end of turn. Normally this is like, oh no, my lands though, but your deck is very good at putting out lands.
Yeah. I mean, can you imagine? You're attacking somebody with 2 creatures. They go to remove the one that's unblocked. You sack a land to, I mean, they shouldn't do this if you have this on board, but you sack a land, you buff the one that is like blocked by a creature, and then you save the one that's getting removed, and you're just like,
Yeah, it's really tough to play around Sylvan Safekeeper.
It's also pretty cheap right now.
It makes blocks just impossible, too.
Yeah.
You mentioned this in our precon upgrade, Greater Gargadon, an incredible sack outlet for just 1 red mana. You suspend it, and you can sack an artifact creature or a land to remove time counters from it.
Yep.
So that's just like a free 9 or 10 sacks, basically, depending on how you do it.
Get Rug Monster comes in the precon and is perfect for this deck.
Yay!
So hopefully you have it.
It's one of the best cards in the deck, just immediately.
Yep. Speaking of best cards in the deck, Mazarek Krull, Death Priest, says whenever you sacrifice permanent, put +1 counters on all your stuff.
Yeah, actually, whenever any player sacks a permanent.
Oh, that's right. It's
yeah, your opponent's fetches, your opponent's random sack things, So this card's really sweet. It's the coolest bug I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Jund bugs with 1/1 counter synergies. Or
I
just
love
like
this
power
deck.
synergies. Yeah, it's sweet.
I pre-ordered this precon so fast.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
All right, the lands will continue until morale improves. Because next we are talking about Tannuk Memorial Ensign.
Ensign?
I don't know. 1 red-green for a 2/4 Kavu pilot. With landfall, whenever a land you control enters, Tannuk deals 1 damage to each opponent. If this is the second time this ability has resolved this turn, draw a card.
Yeah, so it does the damage and will draw you a card as well.
Yeah. So every time a land enters, it pings. The second time it pings, you also draw.
Yeah, this, by the way, goes really well in the deck we just talked about. This is Szarel.
Yeah, it's really good.
So yeah, this is sweet because it keeps your hand full, preferably with lands. And then your opponent's life totals go down, 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 down. Really annoying to play against. At first, you're like, we don't need to kill this thing. And then immediately you're like, oh gosh, we need to kill this thing. I can't believe I'm wasting removal on this thing.
It's like it's not Tatiova, but it's good.
It's good. It's not Tatiova, but it's good. It's good. It does stuff.
So you do want to have 2 lands entering the battlefield per turn, so you can draw maximum cards or 1,000,000 lands entering the battlefield, so you can kill people.
Yeah.
So first thing I wanted to talk about was extra land drops. Of course, you want to make sure you can play 2 lands, or if you crack a fetch, that will trigger Tannuk as well.
Yeah.
You play a land, crack the fetch, that's 2. So exploration lets you play additional lands, but that's expensive. So we're also looking at like Loot, Exuberant Explorer.
Oh yeah, cute loot. Yeah, you can play an additional land, and then you can do a 6 mana activate, look at the top 6, put something huge on the battlefield, depending on the lands you have.
Speaking of cute.
Hugs, Grizzly Guardian. Yeah, this enters, you exile a bunch of cards off your library on the X cost, and then you can, until the end of your next turn, you can play them. But more specifically, you can play another additional land on each of your turns. So this is just a really great way late game to play a huge 5/5 trampler that also just draws you more cards, gets you deeper in your deck, makes sure that you have the lands to keep playing.
That is the problem. You always want to make sure you have another land that you can play so you can draw the card.
Yeah.
So making sure that you always have that extra land in play is helped by playing stuff like Cultivate, playing Kodama's Reach, playing Flare of Cultivation. That just means that you're going to have an extra land put into play and you're going to have a land drop.
Yeah. And importantly, too, if you want to trigger this on other players' turns, because if it's on your turn and you play 3 lands or whatever, you're not going to get the additional land draw ability. You're just going to get the ping ability. And I think you don't necessarily want to do that if you can hold off. So Harrow, Rolling Regrowth are both instants that allow you to sack lands, and just Restoration to grab lands at instant speed, so you can do this on another player's turn and draw that additional card.
Yeah, if you can cast those on opponents' turns, you are really going off. I wanted to mention land trigger doublers. So like the new Traveling Chocobo or Ancient Green Warden.
So cute.
If a land entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. I want to talk about how this works with this commander.
Okay.
Because a lot of people look at that and say, like, every time a land enters, I ping twice, but then when the second land enters, I draw 2 times. But actually, when you play a land, it triggers 1 time, you ping, it triggers a second time, and it sees that as the second time it's triggered.
Resolved.
So you ping and draw 1 card.
Okay.
And then if you play another land, it will
Just
ping and ping again.
Okay.
Because it'll trigger twice. So that's the 3rd and 4th time it triggers.
Right.
So these do not help you draw more cards. They just help you get to the draw faster.
Yeah. So you don't have to necessarily be in a position where you're like, I got to wait to sequence this right because I don't have the double trigger and they're really want to draw the card. You just can do it immediately.
Yeah. It doesn't mean these are bad. It means if you crack a fetch on your opponent's turn, you get to draw a card on an opponent's turn. So I would play them. They just work in a very specific way.
Yep. And then if you're trying to kill people with your commander, you got to be able to do more than just the commander's damage, most likely. So cards that just do the same thing, like Sabotender, landfall, whenever land enters, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. Tunneling Geopede
does the same.
Very similar. Valakut, if you're playing a bunch of mountains in this deck, to do just 3 damage anywhere.
I think you probably do have enough mountains to be able to Valakut. That's definitely how this deck wants to close out the game.
For sure. And then, we talked about enhancers for damage earlier, like O'Hare Ashenil, Torbran. All of these cards will just take that damage and amp it up.
Worth noting, those don't work well together.
Oh, that's right.
Because they're both replacement effects, and your opponents get to decide how they're replaced.
Yeah, and they'll do it in the least damage way possible, right?
But they're very good in this deck regardless. And then we mentioned you kind of do want big turns where you get all of the lands back at the same time.
Yeah.
So fetch lands are very good in this deck as well because they put lands into your graveyard. But stuff like Aftermath Analyst or Lumra Bellow of the Woods, Splendid Reclamation, that bring all of your lands from your graveyard onto the battlefield at one time was just going to do a ton of damage to your opponents.
Hooray.
Get them.
Get them.
This is a commander who does damage. So you want to run Keen Sense and Snake Umbra.
Yeah.
They're both auras that say whenever enchanted creature deals damage to an opponent, you may draw a card.
Hey, that's sweet. So you're going to draw
really
a
good.
ton of cards
Tons
with a
of
fetch
cards.
land. Yeah, you draw 1 from your commander, but every ping from it also gives you cards.
You draw 3 cards every time a land enters.
And opponents, yeah. So it counts for all 3 of your opponents there.
Yeah. Pretty good.
Pretty sweet. Yeah, and then you can keep digging through your deck. We talked about Virtue of Courage earlier. Valakut Exploration seems really good if you're playing like the Aftermath Analyst package, because this is just a way to play that. Bring all your lands back, and then from the exile, you get rid of like 5 cards, and everyone takes an additional 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, they dead.
With landfall decks, there are a lot of ways for you to draw cards in this deck. Make sure you have tons. It's very easy to just dump your hand where you have all these additional land drops and you're like, oh, I'm out of spells and I had so much mana.
Yeah.
So make sure you have ways to cast stuff off the top. You have more card advantage than your commander. 1 card per turn is not going to be enough. It's going to be very card hungry.
Yeah, hungry.
Okay.
Tannuk hungry.
Speaking of Tannuk.
Hey, it's kind of Tannuk again.
It's the second Tannuk.
Yeah. Is it the same Tannuk?
Yep.
It must be. Just a different timeline version.
It is. This is Mythic Tannuk as opposed to uncommon Tannuk.
It's mono red Tannuk. 2 red for a 3/5. Other creatures you control have haste. Great. Love that. And then artifact cards and red creature cards in your hand have warp for 2 and a red. So again, when you cast a card for its warp ability, it immediately enters. However, it doesn't stick around. It exiles at the beginning of the next end step, and then you can cast it from exile for its regular mana cost on a later turn. So this can reduce mana cost significantly. It will have haste, however, because of Tannuk. And then later on, you can play it again for its regular mana cost.
Yeah. This reminds me a lot of Perforos Bronze Blooded, the 5 mana indestructible one that you can sneak stuff into play. But instead of sacrificing them at the end of turn, you exile them and can cast them later.
Kind of better.
Tannuk gives you the card advantage where you don't just lose the card.
Yeah.
So it's not indestructible. So that is one side of it. And you don't get any sort of dice triggers, but you do get all the attack triggers. You get all the ETB triggers. And you get to keep those big, expensive cards in exile for when...
you have a commander that everyone wants to kill immediately.
Yeah.
Because when you have Tannuk out, the next turn you're going to play a Tali for 3 mana. Sick. You're going to play Drakuseth, Maw of Flames for 3 mana. You're going to play a Trumpeting Carnosaur, a Molten Primordial. Insane.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane.
Remember, they have to be red or they have to be artifacts. No Eldrazi's in this deck.
Yeah, artifacts and red creature cards.
Yes.
Yeah, unfortunately, fortunately, I guess the Eldrazi don't count here.
You could also keep this as like more of an ETB commander if you want to like deal with cheaper cards, like with Solemn Simulacrum, and make it sort of a weird red blink deck. But I think most of you are going to build it with big dragons, dinosaurs.
Yeah, you want to do
stuff
crazy big stuff. You want to play it, have a way to protect it, ideally, right? You already have your Lightning Greaves or stuff out. Because if they don't remove this, it's similar to like that Ninja Commander, the one blue-black one. Yeah, it's like you just don't want to see what happens next turn.
Blightsteel.
Yeah, Blightsteel. That's the big one. I do really like Elena, Keswick Trapper. It's
great.
Pretty sweet, right? If you have 6 mana, the next turn you can play Elena and then like a 10-10 or whatever, and then Elena taps for that mana, and then you can just cast something regularly.
Yeah.
It's pretty sweet.
Because you get to keep those fatties in exile, you do want to make sure that you're making a ton of mana so you can cast them later.
Yeah.
I think in your early game, you're trying to get Tannuk out, you're trying to attack with stuff with haste, and then you develop your mana once that gets answered, and you start slamming big threat after big threat after big threat. So you want to make sure you have big mana rocks, like Elena, it counts as a mana rock, Throne of Eldraine, Gilded Lotus, just big stuff that can help you in that late game get a bunch of monsters on the board.
I do believe, I forget which one it is, there's a dragon that lets you keep unspent red mana as well. So that's like another way to keep that going. Yeah. And then you can also play your Nehebs in this deck because you're going to do a bunch of damage and then boom, you can play an actual spell out of your hand the next time. Because there's times when you draw your hand and it's like, there's just 6-drops in here. So being able to cheat out that first thing and then have mana for the next go around is really important.
Yeah, this is really neat. It's got some very cool flavor knobs turned to make it different from the Purphoros deck. The second thing that you can think about is cast from exile.
Yeah.
Because you are casting high mana value creatures from exile.
You're warping them out,
Yeah, stuff like Wild Magic Sorcerer is going to be really good. The first spell you cast from exile each turn has Cascade. So you're casting a 6-drop, a 7-drop out of exile, you get a great Cascade, and that synergizes well with your other stuff that care about when you cast it from exile.
Yeah, now Feshini allows you to copy them, so you probably don't want to put too many legendary creatures in this deck. And if you can even play mono red Go-Go in here, right? If you care about the attack triggers, because you're just going to want to, so look at Rachel's list for that.
Go.
Flaming Tyrannosaurus is a Doctor Who dinosaur. Whenever you cast a spell anywhere within your hand, it deals 3 damage to any target, then you put a 1/1 counter on it when it dies. So it won't necessarily die in this deck, but it deals damage equal to its power to each opponent.
Yeah, but you're pinging them for damage in the meantime, and it's another dinosaur that you could reasonably cheat into play with your commander.
And Keeper of Secrets. I love this. Yeah, 5 red, first strike haste. Whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, it deals damage equal to the spell's mana value to target opponent.
Must answer threat for sure.
Yeah, I think you don't even necessarily play this commander on 4. You kind of want to be able to play this and warp something out that same turn, ideally, right?
You develop your mana before you get your commander out.
And then that way too, like if you are in the space where you're like, you know what, I'm just going to play this 7 mana card from my hand instead of the commander thing first, right? And I'm just going to save it for a later turn when I can do commander plus 2 other things, So yeah, big mana for sure. You're for sure playing Mana Geyser in this deck.
Yeah.
Fun times.
Tannuk's cool. Can definitely steal a game by getting under its opponents.
Let's talk about a really sweet card. We saved it till last because it starts with an X.
Yes.
It's my commander for game nights, and this is one of the rare times, it happens occasionally, where I build a deck and I go, I'm making this in real life. For sure. To add it to my arsenal of my monocolored decks. It's mono black. It's Xu-Ifit, if the shoe fits. Osteoharmonist. 1 black for a 2/3 legendary human wizard. Tap it, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It's a skeleton in addition to its other types and has no abilities. Activate only as a sorcery. Okay, so it is a reanimate on a stick, and you get to get a creature from your graveyard, but it becomes a skeleton and has no abilities. So it is a vanilla creature. If it had flying on it, doesn't matter.
Yep.
It becomes just that regular 9/9 or whatever. But this card is sweet. It's a
really cool.
really cool reanimator deck. And it does things that make you go, oh my goodness, what just happened? You just put a 10/10 out in turn 4.
Yeah, you had some really cool tricks in this deck to get around the restriction of the no abilities thing, and just to take advantage of having this thing that can reanimate multiple creatures in a turn if you're untapping it is very powerful as a commander.
So the first thing is you can actually get the creature back if you can blink it. So Sword of Hearth and Home is really good. Conjurer's Closet is really good. If you have a way to sacrifice it, Malakir Rebirth is a way for that creature to die and return, and you'll get the ETB or the regular abilities. Sword of Hearth and Home is just a great card on your commander because you can attack with it now, or you can equip it to that no ability creature.
Yeah, give it some abilities.
Yeah, get some more lands in your mono black deck. There's also something really interesting in this deck is that you can create copies of the card, and the copies don't maintain the no abilities skeleton text. The copies see the original card, and we checked with rules experts on this. So if you play Saw in half, This one, obviously, you kill it and then you make 2 copies of it.
Mm-hmm.
But cards like Kinzu of the Bleak Coven, a Minion Reflector are ways to copy it. Mirror Pool are ways to create a copy of a permanent, and then the copy just becomes the original. Which is
Pretty cool.
sweet. Yeah.
So you can reanimate a good creature, and it says no abilities. Oh no.
Oh no.
But if you make a copy of it, that one will have the abilities.
I missed this. Activated Sleeper.
I found this and was like, I missed this when we were talking
This
about this
should be
commander.
100%
It's
go in
really
this deck.
good.
Yeah.
It's Activated Sleeper is a weird little card that it's tough to find a spot for, but it's 2 and a black for a Phyrexian shapeshifter. It's a 0/0 with flash. You may have Activated Sleeper enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature card in a graveyard that was put there from the battlefield this turn, except it's a Phyrexian in addition to its other types.
Whoa.
So you can sacrifice your skeleton that doesn't have any abilities for value. We'll talk about that later. And then you can flash in the sleeper and it's like, oh, I'm a copy of an Archon because you just sacrificed an Archon. It doesn't know that it had no abilities when it left the battlefield.
It's a copy of it in the graveyard.
Pretty cool.
Okay, so this deck wants to put high power stuff into the graveyard, and it wants to be able to do it either by milling it or by just having it go there naturally. So the most expensive card that I always try to put in decks is Phyrexian Dreadnought.
It's so cool.
It's just a 1-mana 12/12. When it enters, you have to sack any number of creatures with total power 12 or more, or you sacrifice the Phyrexian Dreadnought. But so the sequence is turn 1, you just play a Dreadnought, instantly goes to the graveyard, and then by the time your commander's out, you can bring back a 12/12 with no text on it.
Yeah.
Who cares about trample? You just got a 12/12.
Seems good.
Sick. You don't want to copy it necessarily, but it's just
don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that. Death's Shadow is also a similar budget version of this, where it's a black 13/13, and it gets -X where X is your life total. So these are the category of cards that you don't want the text boxes on, so you're not looking to copy them. Void Beckoner I put in the deck as well. You can cycle this for 2 in the black to give a death touch counter on the creature you control, and then you can immediately bring it back from your graveyard.
Yeah, these are just big, high-power things that you do not care if they have abilities or not.
Yeah.
Because there's lots of cool ways to give them abilities.
Yeah.
Like the Sword of Hearth and Home that we mentioned before, but there's also like a lot of cool ways to use them.
Yeah, Karsi Revenant might be one of the best cards in the deck.
Yeah, I
it's
love this
1
card.
black. It's a flying death touch lifelink 3/3. So you don't actually reanimate this because you'd rather exile it from your graveyard for 2 in the black to renew it, and then you put a flying counter, a death touch counter, and a lifelink counter on the creature. So this
and your
turns
12/12.
your 9/9, your 12/12 into a Karsi Revenant, and then you are in business.
Yeah.
Yeah, super sick.
You put this one, and I love any time this card gets added to
Yeah,
a deck.
Mask of Grizzlebrand. It gives a creature flying lifelink, and when it dies, you can pay X life where X is its power, and you draw X cards.
Nice.
So I definitely have a lot of different ways to sacrifice cards in this deck for huge amounts of mana or card draw, and that's how this thing really gets cooking.
Yeah, one of them is Soldevi Adnate.
This card's insane in the deck. Probably one of the best cards in the deck. 1 in the black, 1/2. You tap it to sack a black or artifact creature, and you add black mana equal to that creature's mana value.
Yeah.
Oh,
It doesn't have any abilities, but it still has mana
it has
value.
that mana value, yeah.
So now you can cast one of the reanimation targets that got stuck in your hand.
Yeah.
Just get it right onto the battlefield.
Or recast your commander because you'll probably need to. I also really like Ghoul-Caller Gisa in this deck. You play back black and tap it to sack a creature, and you make X 2/2 black zombie creatures, where X is the sacrificed creature's power. So there will be times in the game where your 12/12 just doesn't do anything anymore because you're against an army of tokens or whatever. You don't have your Mask of Grizzlebrands. So Ghoul-Caller Gisa comes out and it lets you tap, sack it, and then your commander can bring it back. You can do it again, and you can go wide instead.
Yeah. Shadowheart does a similar thing. It lets 1 in a black, you sack a creature, you draw X cards where X is its power, and then you use your commander to bring it right back.
Yeah.
So you like attack with your 12/12, you sack it, you draw 12 cards, you reanimate it with your commander, and you have your 12/12 again.
Yeah, exactly.
Seems pretty good.
Yeah, similar to that 3 in the black one that sacks a creature to gain you life and draw cards as well. I forget the name of the creature.
Oh, yeah.
It's the classic. It's in a lot of black decks.
Yeah. You'll be able to see Jimmy's deck list soon.
Yeah,
when
that's
it comes
right.
out with game nights.
It's a really sweet deck. I'm so excited to build it.
It's very cool. We haven't mentioned any of the specific like big bomby type stuff that you can put in there that are just high power that you reanimate and you can make copies of a flicker to get their real ability.
Yeah.
That's because that's often like a flavor to taste thing. It's like, what kind of big black creatures do you like?
Yeah, or even just artifact or
you
colorless,
have.
right?
Yeah, colorless
there's some
ones.
Eldrazi that can definitely go in there.
Like I have a spare Ulamog, I'm going to throw it in.
Yeah,
Not
the
the
ones that
shuffle
don't
ones.
shuffle ones. Yeah. Because you flicker that thing and you're in business. You don't care about casting it. Maybe you do because you have your Soldevi Adnates and stuff. But you're really you just want to get that thing reanimated as 12/12 or whatever, 10/10.
If it's got 9 if it costs 9 and it's got 10 power, it's great in this deck. So
Yeah.
take something from your collection, put it in there.
Yep. And then you probably want to add some amount of self-mill to the deck. Obviously, the earlier the better. So Stitcher Supplier, Altar of Dementia, Stinkweed Imp, ways to just get cards into your graveyard quickly. The worst case scenario is you play your commander, there's nothing to get out of there. So yeah, as many cards that do that as possible. Actually, not as possible. Just cards that do that early, not late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want a steady self-mill engine.
Yeah.
This deck's really sweet. There's a lot of cool tricks that you can do with it, and you can always get value out of a big, expensive, or powerful creature in black. So whether it has abilities or it doesn't, you can still get a lot of value out of it.
I mean, just being able to have a 10-10 on your board by turn 3 or 4 and then being able to swing with it, there's a good chance that someone's just going to take that first hit and then regret it. Yep. Because now they're down to 25 life or whatever, and they are within striking distance of a lot of different players.
Pretty cool.
Yep.
All right. That's
Okay.
it. That's
did
the
it.
end.
Woohoo!
Those are the commanders we're going to talk about for Edge of Eternities, but we like to talk about who our favorites are and what we think the most powerful commander is in the set as well.
Yeah.
But let's start with our favorites.
Yep, mine's pretty obvious. It was Xu-Ifit. We just talked about it. I'm excited to build this deck. I don't have a mono black deck quite yet, so this is going to be that addition to my collection for me to go along with my Beza, the Bounding Spring mono white deck. And maybe I'll get to the other. Actually, I think I do know what my mono blue one will be. It's going to be Watcher in the Waters.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Watcher in the Waters is a sweet deck.
Yeah, so still working on the full monocolored collection, but Xu-Ifit is definitely my choice.
I love that you are on a monocolored kick. It's really fun to
Yeah,
build
it's fun.
monocolored.
It's fun.
Okay. I think my favorite for this one is, it's definitely Hearthhole, which we didn't talk about today because we spent a ton of time breaking it down in the upgrade.
Yeah.
So I just didn't feel like we had time to talk about it.
Yeah, if you want to see the Hearthhole breakdown, just check out our pre-con reveal video.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time talking about Hearthhole specifically and all the ways that you can build it. So I didn't want to give you a bunch of redundant content, but I do like Szarel as well. The bugs really speak to me. I've played
Szarel's sweet.
I played a Kreen in D&D for 5 years now, so I definitely feel like I have to make one of the bugs things work.
Yeah, bug it. Okay,
It's
let's
very
talk about what we think the most powerful commander is. I think I'm in agreement with you here on this one.
Yeah, I think if we're just talking about the scariest commander across from you, it's definitely Kilo, Apogee, Mind.
Yeah, it just goes infinite a bunch of different ways. It's just super cheap to cast. It's in colors that have a lot of powerful things.
Yep, a lot of disruption, a lot of protection, a lot of ways to combo off. So
Yeah.
I think Kilo is probably the most powerful. The second is honestly kind of tough to suss out. Maybe Sami, the affinity for artifacts deck, if you can really get it going, but it does feel like it's going to be pretty feast or famine. So really, really good or struggling to get off the ground.
Yeah. Kilo, however, there's so much redundancy in the deck that you can find ways to go infinite without the commander anyway.
It's just going to be really good.
All right, to the listeners, what commanders do you think are the most powerful commanders in the set? Did we miss any that you wanted to hear about today? If so, let us know in the comments, or maybe you have some sweet tech for Xu-Ifit or any of the other commanders or Szarel that we didn't talk about. There's a lot of cards that obviously fit the bill. We'd love to know what you think about them as well, and of course, have a conversation with the other commenters down in the comments section. And don't forget, if you can go to cardkingdom.com/command, you can pick up the precons, you can pick up Edge of Eternities, you can get the play boosters, the collector boosters, whatever you're looking for in the quality that you need. There's a lot of really sweet treatments in this set, like the textless ones, the borderless stuff.
All the new Shocklands.
The Shocklands, great time. Finally, I think the prices are going to go down a bit here because we've been waiting for a reprint on those for a while, and they're in space. So check all that out at cardkingdom.com/command and support the show while doing so.
Very funny that we have 2 full sets of Shocklands in space.
Yeah, right?
Because they're from Infinity as well.
Yeah, it feels like Infinity and Edge of Eternities maybe were like in design at around the same time. And they're like, yeah, we're going to have a space year. And it was like, actually, they're going to be spaced out between multiple years.
Got him.
Mark, you can have the clowns. We get the bugs.
Once you have those cards in your hand, you got to protect them, keep them safe. Go over to ultrapro.com/command for the highest quality Magic and other TCG accessories in the business. Ultra Pro has the Mana 8 line, which is my favorite. I'm really specific about how I organize my collection, and I really like the Mana 8 line because it's got like a red binder, a blue binder, a white binder, and you can be very clear about what cards are in which, and it looks really pretty on your shelf. If you're not a binder person, you like long boxes, they also have long boxes in each color. So you can be like, here's my red staples, my white staples, my blue staples. However you want to keep your collection organized, Ultra Pro does have a solution for you. Go check that out, and you're supporting the show if you use our affiliate link over at ultrapro.com/command.
All right, big thanks to our amazing team here at the Command Zone. Sebastian Salazar, Corinne the Cruz, Gaurav Gladi, Jamie Block, Jordan Pridgen, Jake Boss, Becky Bell, Rachel Kendra, Eric Lem, Manson Long, Josh Murphy, Evan Limburger, Sam Waldek, Josh Lee, Quad.
Yeah. See you next time.